I'm so disturbed, honestly, in the sense of perturbed, maybe. Disturbed, perturbed. I'm watching something called Gma, which hails out of New York. And on it, it has this black and red reference. It's homecoming. They have some alma mater that goes by the call sign Amy Robach. And she's a reporter. Apparently she went to a place called in Athens, Georgia. Athens is a Hellenistic reference. So for me, in looking for God, country, and family, and being stuck in a belle of West Troy, and the great beyond naming me at some point, and apparently I got named, and then I inherited ... is pretty much how my entire story, my entire life has begun and ended. So I'm watching this, and they have something called a bulldog. It's red and black. It takes place in Athens, Georgia, in North America. She is super excited in her American way of being. She and I did not grow up in the same America. The America I grew up in was in a glen. I'm Glen Way. The way I grew up has now, with the two rings that were not what I wanted. What I wanted was handsome appearance, a brick wall behind me, and never having to say goodbye and waking up every morning together. That's what I wanted. What I got were trolls, 2 rings, some blacksmith work in some... I have no idea what they did. I see this pomp and like circus. I mean, it's pomp and circumstance, but it's also circus money. And it is nothing I was allowed to be a part of, ever. Like, this whole loud cheering and team spirit and all, I don't have any of it. It's like a made-for-TV special. It's like the participants that are some active defense for some Playboy terrorist group that is terrorizing multiple nations and multiple god systems and multiple families. And for speaking up saying, I'm not okay with this, I've had my everything taken from me. But I'm not speaking until I'm 44. But they've already taken my future away from me before I was even allowed to begin. That's how disgusting humanity is. So this, like, rah-rah, like, shish kumbah, like, portrayal of America, I've never seen. I walk the streets of America, but there's gas coming out of the streets or out of the boulevard. It poses a real health threat for which I don't deserve. So I'm watching this disgusting pornographic view of America, for which so many enjoy. I've never experienced it as they have. They've invited me, like, to a game. Armenia took me to an NFL, the only NFL game I've ever been to, An Armenian invited me. I thought that was really nice. I went. It was a derby game between the Giants and the Jets. It was in Jersey, so I went. And then I went home, and I went into Starbucks and checked in with whoever, JC28, and that was it. Went to the football game with so-and-so. I'm back now. What's up? That's it. So that's like the extent of my whereabouts in this disgusting feature that feels like no freedom whatsoever. So, I'm watching their display. Then it turns from this Amy Robach perspective. They give her a jersey. They number her 1. And on her name, it says Rob. And I'm thinking to myself, growing up, the generation before made a big deal about black and white movies in studios when it was the silver screens. The family in God, Country, and Family back then played things like cowboys and Indians. That was their game. And then their games were cops and robbers. They seem to go hand in hand. Just saying. So I'm watching. And then I'm reminiscent of a sign that was held up with my last name on it, with an I in it, that says I'm not welcome in Georgia, or George, for which I am thoroughly baffled. I'm like, which version of Georgia? Because right now, there's some really serious things going on in people are trying to escape Russia into Georgia. They're given a cell phone. They're given some form of small stipend just to get by. And it looks really miserable. It's exactly what I'm living in and the level I'm living at in North America. Except they actually have some form of stipend and somebody who's integrated with them and keeping them whatever. I don't have that here. It's a completely different set of circumstances. And so I'm not the one at Red and Black at the moment. And then I hear Amy Robach is talking to some other participant about some senatorial race between 2 guys. One's Herschel Walker, also NFL tie-in for criminal enterprise. And the second looks like the guy from the Caesars gambling book that the Manning dad put up. And I'm like, wait a minute, is that the same actor? He's now trying to be a senator? Wait a minute, this is confusing. Like, is it the same guy? Or is it just that Seeing Double ad that they put on the TV the other day? I mean, like, the humans are really confusing. I mean, and management, like, talk about unlimited power, like, unchecked. That's what it feels like. So here's their display.
It's homecoming day for Amy Robach at the University of Georgia. Of course, that is her alma mater. Amy, how's it going down there? This is the 100th, huh?
Yeah, it certainly is, George. I know earlier you asked me if I had already had a fireball shot. That is later, okay? Who needs a fireball shot?
That's alcohol. Just so we're clear. She's participating in alcohol. I have a private meeting at VIP MVP once where we had to make some real life decisions about how I was going to end up, and I had to be serious about it. And I'm like, I get that, but she invited me here on a field trip, and I don't know what this is about. There was security at the door. They let me in. I mean, again, and all of these, like, or these backroom meetings. No, it was through the front door. And it was at what looked like a movie set, but for like a private show and tell, I suppose. And kind of, sort of, but not really. Like, history in the making seems so ordinary in the actual moment, I have to be honest. I really hate to deflate anybody's ego. But the pieces and parts leading up to it's still not right. I don't know how to fix all the wrongs that have been done.
There you have that kind of spirit here. This has been an incredible week. Yes, it's the 100th anniversary. And you know, one of my great...
And then what's even more is part of them are participating at this level and really angry at me that I'm searching for God, country, and family. Because they're actively participating in things that have taken God, family, and country out of my area. I mean, like, it's this moving at one, that's where the long and the short form comes in. It's a grading system. There's quantitative analysis that goes in. Some of it's peer-based, I guess. But being the Electoral College is so, I mean, like, this is what they're calling college. Would have worked if I was in a completely different storyline and not ringed twice. And the other part of my we is somebody, like, really important and is not going to let this go or forget about it.
Greatest memories of going to the University of Georgia was homecoming week. So take a look at how dogs like us get ready for the big game. This morning, it's time to call the dogs as we celebrate the University of Georgia homecoming.
This America, I don't know. I went to a game once. It was not this energetic. It was the Giants and the Jets. The highlight of that game, besides the really nice person who went out of his way to take me, was the fact that the military was there in all of their different branches. Small gathering. But it was on, I think, a Veterans Day. And it was just really nice to know that they existed in some format, even though they were in small group formation.
As the reigning college football champions, the Gma Bulldogs are at the top of their game, and the students and alumni are brimming with school spirit as the university hosts the 100th homecoming celebration this weekend. The university, located in Athens, Georgia, became the nation's first state university in 1785. For homecoming week, there are parades, carnivals, and charity events, all ahead of the big game Saturday.
The few university or college, I mean, like, I use those words intermittently, but it looked, I mean, facially wise, yeah, there's a lot of this in the seats around me in the community college when I went for the medical whatever. It looked like undercover journalism, but, like, whatever. I mean, like, it is whatever it is. So I don't know who any of them are. So, but it just seems like when I go to the community colleges, again, I don't know the faces in the class, but they always have a sold-out event of active participants that are learning what I'm learning at the level I'm learning it and trying to traverse in whatever it is that I'm doing in, I don't have any paper. I stuck with, I'm getting by without this rah-rah, shishkamba, whatever it is that the other humans participated in and taking from a system that not only hasn't given me anything, but I've never taken anything from and I've been punished by multiple ways.
Saturday, Georgia set to face off against Vanderbilt in front of a packed stadium. The team even getting support from their Bulldog mascot, Uga, who will be on the field cheering them on. As a class of 1995 graduate, I am always willing to cheer on the Bulldogs.
I don't know if her parents went to this level of university. My parents did not. So my parents were not equipped to teach me how to strive for this. I didn't grow up on a street or in a street system. Like in New York, they go by streets, sometimes avenues, sometimes boulevards. To have a way is extremely rare in New York, on Long Island anyway. But streets are the common. It's the commonwealth of the mapping system for which the foundations on Long Island are built. So I didn't grow up on a street. I didn't grow up on an avenue. I was on an avenue. They moved me to a way. It was important in the Glen for the den speak. So again, my parents were not college graduates. They were not being coached to send me to a state school. I wasn't even on that track or path. So my question is, what was the plan, humans? Because the outcomes change substantially and financially and by like war theater based on your answers. There had to have been a plan. White chick, looks like grew up on a street, made it to state college, made it into a network, made it onto TV, made it in the world. I didn't grow up on a street. I grew up on a way. Somebody put care and thought into my birth prior to my getting that opportunity. Why did that opportunity, even though it was not a dead end, why did it wind up in what looks like a dead end?
Look at that! So I couldn't miss supporting my alma mater. It's good to be home. First up, I'm stepping onto Dooley Field. Easy breezy. Helping to paint the Georgia G. Before meeting the Delta Sigma Theta step group. As they practice for this year's homecoming step competition.
So you're the defending champions. You're gonna win.
Okay, when I went to Hofstra, this lettering system that they got going on here, that's what was on a certificate. But I was in a room with more people and consortium, whatever that means. And then I went home to what called me a star and I was spending time with. And I was supposed to go home with, but then that got shaky. Do you have a passport? Yes, I do. Why don't we go get it? Great. But my parents weren't home. So I don't know what happened. And then it was, he had to leave without me. Doesn't make sense. Not from where I'm standing.
Speaking of defending champions and winning, did I mention yesterday that UGA football ranked #1? Yeah, we're playing Vanderbilt tomorrow, and everyone's pretty sure we're going to win, right, guys?
No idea what playing Vanderbilt means. I don't do this. I just don't. I don't have patience for it. I don't like it. I know people love it and they live for it. Great. I'm not one of them. I wasn't built. This is something that they fostered. I wasn't built for this life. They didn't allow it from the very beginning. My world was built like Joshua and the Way in the Glen. And I don't know what happened at successfully getting me through a breeding season where the children are they're excited about finding one another and having an opportunity together in a quiet life without having to perform unless it's called upon, because something that he refers to as father requires it.
I have to say, when I was a student, we weren't even ranked, so this is very sweet. We are celebrating our Bulldogs and celebrating this incredible university and the people, all of these students who make it great and what it is. So thanks, guys. I hope you can celebrate with us, and go Dogs!
I don't have words for this. I don't know what they call this. Is this American? Is this the culture that they won? It's not a culture I've shared in. They haven't allowed me to share it with them. They built my America very differently. And in fact, the America that they built for me, oh, here's what it looks like. In modern... they put it on. And that was Good Morning E327 this morning. Now CBS this morning on E205, which is Friday the 14th. Oh wait, nope, I'm sorry. E204, which is 1013. So 1013, and my PD knows what that means. E204 on CBS. They put this up. It's a sign that says, with two Z's, and this reference to George. And then it looks like this homeless look I got going on is what's going on over there.
Tensions are high as Russians arrive. Now, we need to give you a heads up here that some of the images in this report are difficult to watch.
Hundreds of thousands escaping the fighting in Ukraine. But they're not Ukrainians. Instead, Russians fleeing the draft at home by flooding the border into Georgia. Relieved to avoid the bloodbath of their own country's making, new arrivals crowd into a support group where they learn how to get a bank account, get a cell phone, and simply get by in Georgia.
Do you know how wonderful these people are? That they actually come together, that they actually group together. They know somehow how to find one another. I have not had the same opportunity or luck. I haven't.
Georgia's capital, Tbilisi. One of them, Alexei, more than him.
And now this one looks very much, he looks like Rob Nicola. I'm just saying, from St. Dominic's. First thing I thought of when I saw his face was, oh my God, theology, 9th grade. Looks like Rob Nicola. Moved to Arizona. Got the hell out of Dodge. I don't know.
And go to the war and...
That sign, right? That first word, and that you are not welcome and here. Just curious. Now, is that like the 5 and the 5th that everybody please? Or is that in the HIVE? Because it's really confusing when I look homeless and like nobody cares about me or nobody cares enough about me to get anything after the Glen correct. Especially when Funny Business went on with taking the Glen away before senior year and graduation with the right color system and then forced into some crescent, St. John's, whatever, where more security breaches happen and hurt my person, and then nobody speaks of it. Made some really, like, interesting friends that year, and kind of, sort of, but not really. People interested in getting to know me, but, like, not lifelong friendships, because not my thing. And then this, which is the way I'm being treated, it feels, in North America, goes back to this other GMA, but the GMA 3, which is S3E25 at 10:14. Now, it says, your voice, your vote. Are these the free will people? I'm just curious. In democracy and breaking crap? Because they broke my relationship with who I was intended and who I happily wanted to be with. And now I'm in this debauchery situation, or debacle. And it's really hard to, like, figure out, what is the purpose of any of this? What am I to do now? They've taken my children. They've taken my ability to have a bank account. They've taken my ability to have, after I've been hunted, chased, and harmed, dragged through years of a relationship that I was trying to nicely get out of, but apparently stuffing somebody's clothes in bags and throwing them out on the front lawn and telling them to leave is frowned upon, especially when your son is taking photos and trying to lean away from the issue. And let's do a happy Christmas photo. And what is my son's hands? That's called signaling. When you are in harm's way. I know the 10-13-02-38 class knows a little bit more about this guy than they ever helped me out with. Thanks for nothing. So now here's your voice, your vote, 2022. This is what Georgia looks like on this side. In who stole funds, who's committing fraud, who's misappropriating things, who's causing terror on the airlines. Interestingly enough, I also, because we're on the American side and they say that you could just get a job anywhere, doing anything, go into the travel, whatever. Great. Okay, so I applied to Delta Airlines and American Airlines. Delta let me get to the next stage on the MaxiPad internet, where I actually did video recordings of an interview. But then they never called me after that. American just stopped at the MaxiPad internet. So more employment I was capable of doing, but denied. No answers. No idea why.
Welcome back to Gma, everybody. A special split edition. I am here in New York. Robach is in Georgia. And of course, Rhodes, this weekend, a lot of people always have their eyes on Georgia when it comes to sports on a college football Saturday. But obviously, a lot of eyes on that state for other reasons when it comes to election time. We got a debate tonight.
I don't speak this level of American. I mean, I can hear it. I can translate it. I can tie it back to pieces and places I've been, ways I've been discriminated against, ways I've been held outside of the normal expectations for this area.
Between Senator Warnock, the incumbent, and Herschel Walker. A lot of eyes on that, but other races, keep an eye on down there as well.
That's right, TJ, and I am here with our Alex Perche, who has been looking at all of the key races here in the state of Georgia. Alex, we're sitting here.
Did she just say key races? Key for whom? And how?
Here in Sanford Stadium, I'm looking right here across the way at number 34, Herschel Walker's name right here. He is a
34, huh? 34th Miracle. Jimmy Stewart. Really interesting at the turn of events.
He is a huge UGA football legend. Also, of course, the Republican candidate for senator. He is facing off against Democratic Senator Warnock. There's a big debate tonight.
Now, these names, it's like, wah, 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 wah. No idea. Like, there's no tie-in for me. And then all of a sudden, they pan out and they go to a visual, and it's like, holy good hell. It's the guy now that they've got all over the airways about an abortion. That's a 1013. And then they've got some, because there was an aborted mission. It was the original formality of for whom I was betrothed. And they ruined by all different methods, but they aborted the mission. And there's anonymity still in private, public, whatever. That still stands strong.
What can we expect?
Well, Amy, let's put this in football terms, right? I mean, this is the bowl game for this Senate race here in Georgia, right? Incredibly high implications for the U.S. Senate. The party that wins this election likely will control the U.S. Senate. And look, I mean, this is a tightly contested race. It's the first time that we're going to see these two gentlemen on the stage together debating. It's the first time that we're going to see Herschel Walker debating, period.
Oh, my God. It's the guy from... It looks... I mean, it looks like yesterday I put up this little boy who was standing up next to a poster, and he kept telling his mom it was him. This looks like the Caesar MGM sports casino guy that has gold glasses with the Manning triplets. Right around the same time Book of Mormon shows up, just saying. I can see the birth date, like, in astrological signs. So, the not popular one. Don't have a name on him.
Wasn't a part of any of those GOP primary debates. But one of the things that I'm looking for tonight, we're going to see abortion come up. These allegations that Herschel Walker paid for an abortion in the past. He's an anti-abortion candidate. And this is going to be the first time for him.
So, are they paying for white kids' privilege and expected or expectancy? Are they paying to have them sullied or ruined in some way? To purposely throw off the futures and ruin the futures? For some of the, I mean, like, again, I'm the size of a rocket. Not that I was allowed to dance, but I hear that's important in certain sassy features. It's really frightening of the outcome and the summation by this year 44. With, I mean, again, I have an immaculate conception. I have Alexander, although I don't even have him any longer, because they made it. So they pushed a Blacksmith Sully representative who had no business ever following me home, ever moving into my house, ever getting to know anything about my file, should have never been ringed, but it's up there in big flashing Masonic messaging. I have a 5-15-15 at my level of human with what's going on at so and so. You might as well tell an NYPD 1013. Officer down. Just saying.
For him to answer some of these questions on a stage,
if we're talking big apples to oranges.
This big, but up to now, he has vehemently denied these allegations, including to our Lindsay Davis earlier this week. Take a listen.
If I can just get you to say it.
Because this all looks just whatever the other fruit is.
Yes or no. Did you ever have a conversation with this woman at any time about an abortion?
No.
Did you ever, to your knowledge, give money to pay for the cost of an abortion?
No.
Is she...
It sounds like Scientology and 75 volcanoes. I'm just saying, like, tying it all together with, like, a really pretty bow tie. I mean, there is an apparent on the field somewhere. There are inherent problems I'm still going through, and they get more dangerous and serious, and it was never going to be my fault based on other bridges that were being burnt. And like, there's so many balls in the air being juggled at the same time of there's multiple affluents.
She's lying.
Yes, she's lying. Yeah, she's lying. Yes, she's lying.
Well, obviously abortion is going to be a big issue for Georgia voters as they head to the polls. What are some of the other issues that Georgia voters are going to be considering when they choose their candidate?
Okay, well, so we're seeing a lot of national trends that are playing out here in Georgia. Abortion, also inflation, but something that's specific to Georgia are voting laws. Democrats were really successful last election by getting people to the polls, giving out food and water for folks that are braving these hour-long waits to vote. Well, some of these things are now outlawed going into this election, and that's something that is a big, hotly contested debate here in Georgia.
Yeah, and of course this state is...
Are they, like, successful at anything? I mean, I'm just curious. Other than covering their own asses. Because everything just looks like an absolute disaster and mess. It just does. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.